My father's been dead. I'm older than my dad right now, which is a weird feeling, but he passed away like 34 years ago. But about 10 years ago, I was in Florida preaching, and I went to breakfast. Yeah, pull that up. That's going to help me a lot. I went down to breakfast, and suddenly my father was sitting across the table from me, which is pretty strange. I didn't see him. I knew he was there. I could feel him. And he said to me, "What are you going to do about your mom?" And I didn't know really what to think about it. So when I went home, I checked on my mom, and turned out she was going downhill fairly rapidly. But she was a strikingly beautiful, tall, blonde woman, sort of had a regal way about her. But she degenerated over about 3 years, and every Monday I'd go see her, and she would, it was like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, that movie, if you've ever seen that. It was just the same. I mean, I could tell you right now what Kleenex she used, what toothpaste she used, what ice cream to get her. And then she would say things like, "Why don't you ever come see me?" And I said, "Mom, I was here 52 times last year." And then one time she introduced me as my brother. I said, "Mom, I'm not coming back if I'm not even getting credit for being here when I'm actually here." So I would give her a little bit of a fit. And then she passed away, and I was really glad she did. It wasn't a sorrowful thing, it was a joyful thing in that she was done suffering, and I was happy to let her go. But I was left with a really bad feeling about my mom. And I didn't see her for who she was for the first 80 years of her life. I was sort of stuck with that caricature of her for those last 3 years. But, you know, I needed to take care of her. My brother did the same. We both did the same. So, well, I figured, you know, I'm a big boy. You just suffer. There's just stuff happens to you. You live with it. How many of you know that? I mean, that's the way we look at life. I never even asked the Lord to do anything about it. I just suffered it. And I mean, it wasn't paralyzing. It was just a thing, you know, an unpleasant thing. But anytime I think about my mom, I would just see her the way she ended up. So this Passover weekend, and remember, this is in the context of antiphony, when heaven and earth respond to each other. So this Passover weekend, I was in this public place just hanging out, and I decided I'm going to read through all 4 of the Gospels and consider the sufferings of Jesus. And I've been saved 45 years, and over the years I have taken personally how Jesus was treated when he came. It really bothers me. I can't explain that other than the fact that I love him, and I know he's real, and I know what happened to him really happened to him, and I know if he hadn't done that, I wouldn't be saved. And so I read through Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and the presence of the Lord, I mean, they spit on him, they slapped him, they lied about him, the crown of thorns, the terrible scourging. But as I was considering that, his presence in that public place got so powerful, I was just about to break down and cry. And I'm not a big weeper. I mean, I've done some of it, but it's not my normal response, you know. But I finally just told the Lord, I said, Lord, if you don't back off a little bit, I'm going to have to get up and go because this is too much. Now, I've been thinking about him all morning. I've been thinking about his sufferings, but I told him, I said, this is I'm going to have to leave because I'm about to weep. I don't want to embarrass myself here in public. So suddenly he spoke to me and he said, now this is completely out of the blue. I've not even considered any of this that morning. He said, do you remember when your dad sat across the table from you in Florida and asked you what you were going to do about your mom? You talk about a random comment. I said, yes. And Jesus said, that was me. And every bit of that pain of my mother's memory dissipated, melted, and completely left. And the thing that struck me was when I was considering his suffering on a personal level, he considered mine and did something about it that I didn't even ask him for. See that? And see, in essence, I was worshiping Jesus when I was considering who he was and appreciating him. I mean, what else is if that's not worship? I wasn't singing a song or dancing. And see, I wasn't doing it to get healed. I just love him. And I've learned over the years, if I'll consider what he went through, stuff happens that's really cool. But I wasn't even thinking that. I was just thinking about what he did. Now, that's amazing. There's this thing that's really struck me in worship about weakness. And the thing we despise about ourselves may be the most valuable aspect of who we are when it comes to our spiritual life. You see, Jesus basically said, you won't know how truly weak I am until I'm lifted up. That's really what he said. He said, you won't, in essence, we never really see who Jesus is because he didn't reveal himself. He lived from the power of another person, the Holy Spirit. That's really what he did. I of myself can do, what did he say? Nothing. And so the teaching of Jesus is not how to be strong. It's really more about how to appreciate your weakness so that you can be strong through someone else's strength.